Hi, so my name is Selma, which I'm an associate professor of informatics, and I'm going to give you a little change of pace because I'm a social scientist, so I don't actually do machine learning or AI, but what I do is study how people perceive and interact with and actually adopt different kinds of robotic technologies that incorporate some of these capabilities. So I'm the director of the Our House Human Robot Interaction Lab here, and these are some of the themes that we focus on in our work. So one is on the kind of social perception response to robots, and often here we apply psychological theories and methods to understand kind of human social interactions with robotic technologies. We also do a lot of field studies where we look at how robots are adopted or perceived in different kinds of organizations, and we also look at how they're used or thought of in different kinds of cultural contexts. And finally, we also try to undertake some of this kind of social research and knowledge to figure out what kinds of robotic and socially interactive technologies we should actually be designing. What do people need? What do they want? What will they respond well to in different kinds of contexts? So obviously there's a lot going on here, so I thought a way to simplify it would be to focus it on a particular case study, which we've been working on over many, many years. And this is robotics and eldercare. So we've been working with this particular robot quite a bit. It's called Paro. It's a little robotic seal, and it can perceive things like sounds that people make, touch, as well as light. And so it seems like it's interacting, it responds directly to people who are interacting with it. And so we've used Paro in different kinds of, with different kinds of populations. One of them has been people who have cognitive decline and are in nursing homes. And some of the things that we've studied there in terms of psychological effects are kind of direct and indirect increase in activity that people get. So we've seen that both people who interact with Paro, but also some of those who are just around, actually seem to be more situationally aware and cognitively active at the time. We've also seen it used by clinicians to decrease agitation in certain populations. Another population that we've worked with is older adults with depression, and we put this robot in people's homes for 4 weeks, and some of the things we've seen is that it does seem to decrease their level of depression over this period of time, but we've also been looking at the sensor data that we can collect through the robot, and we're seeing some signs that we can actually potentially use that to predict the changes in their health status over time. So in terms of thinking about, of course, we think about these individual interactions, but we're also very interested in how these technologies can be implemented within organizations. And so we've looked at different nursing homes, some Veterans Affairs facilities, an intergenerational daycare, a mental health clinic. And some of the things we focus on here, unlike these personal effects with, in the kind of more psychological sense, is actually how the robot fits into the work patterns of the institution, how it affects and is affected by different social interactions with people, and how and when people choose to adopt it or not. So some of the things that have come out of this part of the work is actually noticing that something that's important for the adoption of this robot, which is it's the only actually commercial platform of its kind, is that it's actually interpretively flexible. So different kinds of people can kind of invent different meanings and different uses for it that fits their environment. And another thing that we've tried to point out to is the importance of human labor in these contexts. We often think of AI systems as things that do things autonomously, but actually to implement these in human environments, people need to do a lot of work to make them effective. And finally, we've been thinking through how we can not just use existing or evaluate existing technologies, but how do we design robots with the populations that will use them. So we've been doing different kinds of participatory and collaborative design activities with older adults and clinicians. And some of the things that have come out of this is one of the reasons that older adults are sometimes reluctant to use these technologies is because they see them as basically reproducing stereotypes about aging as a deficit. And so what we've been trying to do with them is to actually think about what are other ways to think of aging, other things robots could do. Some of the things they've pointed out is how you could use a robot to maybe get older adults to reflect on their condition themselves, but also to expand, to use robots to expand their capabilities to experience aging as a positive thing. So that's my little story about robots in elder care, but we have projects in all kinds of other contexts, including in education, in robot teams and groups. So thank you.